Dr. Crawford, thanks for coming on and joining us.
Hey, absolutely glad to be here. Certainly getting anything out to the community is certainly something that we're transparent about. We enjoy.
So I want to start with hearing this conversation about the new cell phone policy. A lot of people are talking about there at Tyler ISD. Explain the policy first off before I get into other specifics about that.
Yeah, you know, this year the legislature decided to go ahead and make it state law to not have cell phones from bell to bell. We probably would have written the law a little bit differently to have a little bit of flexibility in there, but as far as being fidelity with the law, no cell phones are allowed from bell to bell. It's the beginning of the school day to the end of the school day. There is some discipline that's afforded to it, about a 4-step disciplinary process there. $0, anywhere from 0 to 5 to 10 to 15 every time that is confiscated. There's also parental engagement every time that we do have an instance of that. You know, to be honest with you, K through 8, we've already had fidelity with that. It's going to really be a little bit of a change at the high school level, but I'm hearing some districts that have already started school that this has not been as big of a challenge as they said it was going to be. But again, we're doing it from the middle schools down to the elementary schools, completely gone in the elementary schools altogether. We'll have success at the high schools as well.
You got into it a little bit there about the consequences with this, but just can you talk a little bit about that a little bit more? What should parents and students know before they get back to
Well, first of all, let's put our phone away. I think a lot of these things can be taken care of before they actually get on the bus by the parent or in the car by the parent. And you know, parental engagement and having their partnership on this initiative is going to be extremely important. But you know, if you do get your cell phone taken up, let's not make a big deal about it. Let's just go ahead and say, you know, you got caught with that. We're going to work with you. We're going to have a little finesse and a little bit of growing into this policy as well. You know, it's going to really needs to work from campus to campus and classroom to classroom for this to have fidelity to this, so that we can get back to teaching and learning and not having those distractions inside the classroom. So it's going to be a little bit of a change, but I don't think it's going to be as big of a change as a lot of folks are anticipating. For one, every student has a device, a Chromebook, a computer that they're assigned. If a parent needs to get a hold of them, they can email them. There's no doubt about that. And then obviously, the way we all grew up, if there are phones in each classroom, if a parent needs to, or if a child needs to get a hold of a parent, they may be able to use the actual teacher phone. And then obviously, if a parent needs to get a hold of a student, they can call the front office, which they're doing a lot of that already anyways.
Are you expecting any problems with maybe some students? Because you know, a lot of students nowadays, a lot of kids always love having their phone on them, really can't be separated with it. Are you expecting maybe some growing pains, or do you expect a smooth transition to the school district?
I think there'll be some growing pains, but a lot of feedback that I've been hearing from students already, knowing that this is coming up in anticipation of this new initiative, is that they're looking forward to it. They realize that they're distracted during the school day. There's a little bit of drama that's associated now. It's a little bit easier than it was maybe when I was going to school or when you were going to school. And so getting back to to teaching and learning and going to school for the right reasons, I think there's a lot of students that are looking forward to that as well.
Is this policy going to remain in place for the foreseeable future?
Well, state law says that you have to have a policy in regard to this initiative. So until they change state law, or until they give us a little bit of flexibility in how the law is written, I don't see it changing anytime soon. But for at least this year, it is state law, and next year as well, because they won't meet again for another 2 years. We will go with this initiative as defined by law.
So I want to switch over to House Bill 2 with teachers' pay raises at your school district. Again, I don't know if you can get into specifics about that, but what can you say about what came out of that?
Well, you know, what a great thing this last legislative session was. You know, I talked to Brian Hughes and Daniel Alders, our state senator and our state representative, before the session. I said, if there's anything, if you come out of this session, the one thing that needs to happen is teacher compensation has to improve. We have to re-professionalize the profession, and one way to start doing that is to showing them that to get a bump. Now in Tyler ISD, because we have 18,700 students, we did not qualify for the really big bump as some of the smaller school districts did that are 5,000 students and below. But we did receive, I think, for teachers that are year 3 and beyond, and year 3 to year 5 was $2,500, and then year 5 and after was $5,000 in increase. The state legislature did not provide any basic allotment increases, so any of the other staff and faculty, which everyone's going to get a raise this year, was actually done with through some leaning up of some efficiencies inside of our own school system. So again, excited about the teacher compensation being increased. Our state legislators did a great job of doing that for us in the 89th legislative session, and then the Board of Trustees along with district staff has figured out a way to make sure that everyone else got a little bit of a bump.
When it comes to staffing at the entire school district, are you guys comfortable with the staffing? Do you guys need more teachers, or maybe not?
Hey, there's no doubt that public ed across the nation, across Texas, across East Texas, and across Smith County, we're in a pickle, and we're in good shape right now, just with a handful of vacancies. But you know, as the boomer generation retires, even my generation starts to retire, there is a teacher shortage that is looming out there that is unseen. There's some of the ways that we're attacking that is through District of Innovation, and that's actually hiring someone who does not have teaching certification as of yet, but do have a degree, and they're choosing this maybe as a first career or a second or third career, and then they go through a teacher certification process. So we're having to kind of resort to some of those strategies to make sure that we fill our classrooms up. But this next year, I think we're in pretty good shape as far as starting the school year off with an adequate number of vacancies that we can manage.
How much do you expect this to help some districts that might be struggling? Obviously not yourself, but how do you expect teachers to, or how are they reacting to this? If there, or maybe teachers that might want to come in? Yeah,
I think that something the legislators are going to have to figure out before 2030, because they've sunsetted some of the rules as far as teacher certification goes and being flexible. There are some strategies that are talking about teacher apprenticeships within your colleges, but there's demand and there's supply. And certainly the supply out there across the country, across the state of Texas, across East Texas, right now it's thin, and I think it's going to become even more thin as time goes on. So we've got to start doing a lot of things like grow your own programs here in East Texas. East Texas is such a great place to live and work and play and worship. We've got to do a good job of recruiting within our own school system, within our own communities, to develop teachers. And then a little bit of support needs to come along the way from the legislature as well, increasing those livable wages for teachers. There's no doubt about it. It is a great profession with a lot of fringe benefits. You know, you were wrapping up a 2.5 month of vacation for teachers, but at the same time, they deserve to be compensated fairly. And I think the legislature made a great step in that direction. Let's hope that they continue to do so over the next couple of 3 legislative sessions.
The one thing I want to get your reaction on, I forgot to mention it during the first part of this interview, the process to come up with the new cell phone policy there. I know you mentioned you guys had a kind of a process already. Did parents, students, staff members, besides the board, did they have a say in what this new cell phone ban policy is going to be there, or was it just a certain group of people?
Sure. I think whenever you starting off with policy, I don't think you can just create it from scratch. And I mean, we're notorious in education, just like every industry is looking at what other people are doing, crafting that policy, and then putting it out there. And that's what we did. So absolutely, there was feedback, because with social media, whether you look for feedback or not, it's going to be out there. And so we put that policy out there. The Board of Trustees is actually mandated by state law to actually develop that policy or consider that policy and approve it. And we put that through them over a couple of board meetings. We actually had a first reading of a policy and then a second reading of a policy that was eventually adopted. And of course, through social media, we were able to get a lot of feedback about what was good and maybe what was not good in regard to those policies.
All right, and then of course the Education Savings Account program, that goes into effect. I believe you were in opposition to it. Since you had some time to maybe think about this a little bit, I think it was signed back in early May, if I'm not mistaken. Is your thoughts still the same on this, or has anything changed?
Well, I think in opposition, I think we all play nice in the sandbox here in Smith County in regard to whether it's public or private or charter schools. So I don't think it was so much of a local thing of being in opposition to that. I think we all compete very well against each other, and we all have great things that we do, and then we all have things that we struggle, and we all have challenges. This was more in opposition to the funding piece of this, because you start talking about taking out $1 billion of available dollars of state funding for public education. Why would I be for that? And so, now that that's been passed, again, we're just going to continue to do what we can do and compete academically, which, our college preparatory programs are outpacing a lot of private school metrics, a lot of charter school metrics, and other public schools as well. So we're excited about that. But also the way to compete is to make sure you're doing great things inside of student life. The student experience matters, the parent experience matters as well. So, here in East Texas, I don't think you're going to see as large of an impact. There will be an impact as what you may see in some of the metropolitan areas like in Dallas, Fort Worth, or Austin, or Houston. Again, I was in opposition of and remain in opposition and remain concerned, because if you're going to take out of available dollars in the state budget, which includes local and state taxes that could potentially be considered for public school funding, then I'm going to be I'm not going to be in favor of that ever. So
you don't see it having an effect at your school district?
Well, I think it's going to certainly it'll have a little bit of an impact because it's available now. But again, if we can take care of what we're responsible for and do the things that we're responsible for well, I think you'll see students will be pleased with what we're doing, and parents especially, because they're the ones that will be in consideration whether or not they want to access a voucher or not. Here
in East Texas, have you heard any more feedback from students and parents on this very issue?
I not me specifically, because I don't think they're going to come talk to me specifically about that if they're considering going and taking advantage of those vouchers. But those people that are pro-public education, that have chosen Tyler ISD for their child's education, they're going to be concerned, and they may ask the question, and just like you have today, what are y'all going to do about it? What are the strategies to make sure that we protect what we've got here and what we've built here? And so maybe that is the little bit of the concern that might be out there, but not so much that there's this groundswell of panic in regard to vouchers.
And then my final question on this: I know you said you were pretty much in opposition of the funding part of it, but from I guess a more positive impact, if somebody is for this, or from a parent's perspective, what can you say on that? Again, I know you're not
it's great.
The biggest fan of it, but
yeah, that's great. Man, a child's education, it starts at home, and the parent makes that decision about that educational experience. And so here in East Texas, it's pretty colloquial, and we worship together. We see each other in the grocery stores, and we're social with each other. I got many friends that choose to put their kids in private school, and so it's great. It's their choice. They've always had that choice. It's just going to be a little bit more accessible, a little bit more attainable, possibly as well. So, private school education is certainly expensive, and the state's going to make it a little bit more less expensive for them. But I don't know. You start talking about what it does cost to go to those private schools. You'll be able to put a little bit of a dent in that cost, but at the same time, let's just see what happens. I think creating a bunch of panic before it actually happens, before that data is actually available to see what's going on, we'll worry about it when it's time to worry about it.
And then another big topic is the new state law that requires the 10 Commandments inside the classroom. How is Tyler ISD going to be doing that?
Yeah, going to comply with state law. Again, that's a big conversation here today about all these different laws that have been enacted here. But every classroom will actually have an appropriate sized poster, I believe in the King James Version. So if you're like me, grew up deep East Texas Church of Christ, I can understand those these and thous and thus. But they're going to be posted, and we talked to our staff at Convocation at our big general district meeting this last week, and we're going to comply with the state law, and depending upon the teacher's faith tradition, we want to let the parents figure all that out. So if a kid's got a question about one of those 10 Commandments, our staff guidance is going to be, hey, you need to probably talk to your parents about that. We're not going to try to evangelize to any kids, and at the same time, those that may not have the faith that matches with the 10 Commandments, we're not going to detract from those either. And besides, there's a sprinkling of those commandments that are probably pretty good reminders for us from a moralistic point of view. There's no doubt about it. There's some commandments in there that is just general practice, so that we can have quality relationships as humans. And I think if you look at it from that point of view, and not from a dogmatic or theological point of view, I think that's certainly a thing that we can probably support inside of our classrooms.
And you know, some would say, of course, this is controversial. Some have said that. Have you gotten any feedback or pushback from parents and students on this? Have you heard any concerns about having the 10 Commandments in the classroom?
You know, a handful here locally. Some concerns. You know, I think everybody loves to lean on the church and state argument. But at the same time, locally, there's been a little bit of concern. I'll tell you where I've gotten concern is people from out of state, people that aren't from Tyler, that aren't from Smith County. You know, they're the ones that are really, you know, probably stirring a lot of this up. And here locally, you know, again, the way we're going to approach that is we're going to leave it up to the parents. That needs to be talked about in the home. We're going to comply with state law. We're going to post those things. Those are going to be daily reminders for us as well, just on how to treat your fellow humans. But at the same time, you know, we're not going to get too deep in the theological arguments about what the 10 Commandments are.
All right, and I just got a couple more questions for you on a lighter note. Just give me some back to school advice for students and parents who might listen to this, what they can expect just from having a good school year coming up.
Well, let's talk about traffic first.
Of course.
I've been here a dozen years, and we're growing in Tyler, and there's not going to be some magic sprinkling of dust that's going to improve any type of traffic when kids come back to school. I've been kind of noticing that a little bit driving into work, how it's kind of picked up throughout the last couple of weeks already, even though the students aren't back yet. So be patient with us, be patient with other drivers, be patient with other parents as they're picking up their kids. And it always does this. It'll always settle down after about 2 or 3 weeks. So that'll eliminate some of the stress that's out there of getting to school on time, or maybe even picking your child up, or maybe even the bus is running. We'll be as efficient as we possibly can, but we'll have new drivers that have the unfamiliar routes that they might be driving. So the first couple of 3 weeks, let's all practice a little bit of patience. Again, you always get the, hey, get up and you get breakfast every day, or maybe get your sleep schedules correct, but we're a little bit late for that. We start on Wednesday, and so I don't know if I can provide that advice or not, but it's something that's always exciting, the first of school. Before you know it, we'll be enjoying the Friday night lights. We'll be enjoying the weather change that always encompasses going back to school as well. So maybe fall is around the corner and all this heat's going to subside a little bit. Our facilities are in great shape. Our custodial staff, our maintenance staff have spent all summer making the repairs that they needed to make from last school year, because, you know, kids are pretty tough on buildings, but we're excited about that, and I hope that the parents are excited about another school year as well.
Finally, is there anything new at the school district this year? You mentioned some repairs. Anything significant you could talk about quickly? Well,
you know what? We're open. It's the first year in a long time that we haven't had to open a brand new school building. And last year we cut the ribbons for Hubbard Middle School. We cut the ribbon for Early College High School. I think the athletic facility at Hubbard Middle School is going to be ready on day one. So we're excited that we're not having to mess with that. We can just completely focus on teaching and learning. It's not like we haven't been doing that anyways, but that is something that's new, is that we don't have anything new going on in regard to facilities. Continuous improvement is a huge issue for us every year. That's our mantra, is successful student outcomes. We had a great year academically last year, and we look to certainly improve on that this coming year.
All right, great. Anything else that maybe we didn't talk about that is significant to mention?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Dr. Crawford, thanks for joining me.
Sure, absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Sure.